How about armored underwear and, of course, tactical bacon? Going to give you 10 essentials for surviving Doomsday 2012. Kind of on the funny side, it's by Sean Fallon, nerd approved. I'll do that in a moment. This is Russ Dizdar, Shatter's live broadcast. The Ragged Edge Radio tonight, Monday the 26th. And we're in the United States as of tonight, but in the next 14 days... well, I can say this. I think I'll be in France. I'll be all over the place, and we'll see where we will do live broadcasts from. This week on the Ragged Edge Live Radio, we are going to do this. Here's the title, False Flag of 2012 Doomsday-ism. Here's what I wrote. The world is now aware, and hundreds of millions are wide open to the false flag dark theology that ancient spirituality has poured out. Billions of people know about 2012 doomsday prophecies of the ancients and are layered with a bulging spiritual presence. Now listen to this. The developing mask of the future. Remember this, the developing mask of the future. The developing mask of the future. I'll come back to that in just a moment. I'm reading this breakdown of 10, and this is kind of funny for all of us preppers and everybody else getting prepared. This is it's real stuff, but it is kind of funny. Now think about this: 10 essentials for surviving Doomsday 2012. Number 1 on the list: a bed bunker. In a post-apocalyptic world, you'll want to keep a weapon at arm's length at all times to fend off scavengers and thieves. Now, it's a 1,300-pound bed bunker with a 140-pound, 1/4 inch thick 10-gauge steel doors. It's pretty interesting. I hope they put a mattress on that. It only cost about $2,200 to $4,200. Number 2 on the list, blast boxers. No kidding, blast boxers. A pair is stuffed with enough Kevlar to protect what's really important. Plus, it's comfortable and odor resistance thanks to the arid fabric and breathable mesh. Believe it or not, it's like armored underwear. Interesting. Third thing on the list is a giant Swiss Army knife. This is real. I mean, it's like having 10 Swiss Army knives all put together, $999. It's got tools for survivalism that I have never seen before. It's absolutely crazy. It almost looks like Edward Scissorhands, and it's just an incredible. It has this little note, be prepared for zombie attacks at all times. Let me go to the next one, number 4. A BioLite camp stove. Here's what it says. You're going to need a way to cook your meals without modern appliances. This BioLite stove not only uses wood for fuel, but it also has an added benefit of thermoelectric generator that will turn the heat from the flame into electricity. Now, that's a good thing. $80 is what it says here. Many of you may know of some of these objects, and listen, some of these are going to sound funny to you, but they're all real. The next one, tactical bacon. Here's what it says. Now that you have a means of cooking your food quickly, you're going to need a stock up on non-perishable food items like tactical canned bacon. It lasts for 10 years. In the can, it holds up to 18 servings. Let's face it, most of us weren't given the choice. About $15.99 canned tactical bacon. Wow, that would be, when it all comes down, a little bit of bacon would be great. Listen, here's another one. Muscu bag wearable sleeping bag. Now, I'm looking at the picture. It's about $140, but it's a sleeping bag, but it's like pajamas with a hood. You can wear them, go to sleep anywhere, keep yourself warm. It's a bomb shelter approved. It's, I don't know, here it's yellow. Maybe it comes in other colors also. The next one, solar-powered backpack. Now I've got a backpack here I'm packing to my right, and it doesn't have this. This one's $119. It has a solar panel to collect energy on the back of it. Pretty good idea. On the back of it, it can be transferred to your portable gadgets. Actually, that's a great idea. I mean, I got a Kindle, I've got a laptop, I've got a smartphone, I've got all these things. And if I had that solar panel while I'm trekking the countryside of Bouguerac, France, I could be charging up those items along the way. Here's the next one. Lifesaver jerry can. It is a 5-gallon holder of water. Listen, though, this is great. But it's got a filtration system that removes bacteria, viruses, cysts, parasites, fungi, and other pathogens. It can process up to more than 5,000 gallons of water during its life cycle. About $150. Now I'm looking at this and I'm thinking that is an extremely good idea. Many of you have better ideas than this. I'm just giving you what was put out by Sean Fallon and nerd approved, because it's on the minds of millions. How about the next one? A gorilla torch blade. That's what it's called. A flashlight. But it's got these arms and legs that can be bent and wrapped around anything. It's a bio-light stove and solar-powered backpack. It'll go right into that, it says here. It'll need. It's really kind of cool. It shows that it's being. It's magnetic. It's pretty cool. Little item. Next item, last item on the list. It's called the Night XV. The Night XV Armored SUV. This thing looks like something between a smaller Hummer, a Jeep, some kind of SUV. I mean, it looks like a tank. It looks like it's got a 6.8 liter biofuel powered 400 horsepower V10 engine. A fully armored exterior, undercarriage, ballistic glass, built-in oxygen survival kit, and onboard black box system, plus the interior is more plush than most high-end luxury cars. I mean, this thing is real. It looks, this is something I would drive. Only $400,000. Powered 400 horsepower V10 engine. A fully armored exterior, undercarriage, ballistic glass, built-in oxygen survival kit, and onboard black box system, plus the interior is more plush than most high-end luxury cars. I mean, this thing is real. It looks, this is something I would drive. Only $400,000. It's what's on the minds, literally, of millions all around the world. And here comes a real alert. Listen to this. A friend is sending that works among the FEMA camps. Want to say hello to my friend out there. Here's what it says, following an excerpt from the executive summary of the final report on the use of biometric identification technology to reduce fraud in the food stamp program. Biometric identification technology provides automated methods to identify a person based on physical characteristics such as fingerprints, hand shape, characteristics of the eyes and face, as well as behavioral characteristics, including signatures and voice patterns. This is now a RFID chip that can be planted in individuals. It is now being considered by the Food and Nutrition Services so that anybody that is getting food stamps or food from the government could have the chip placed. Without it, you couldn't get it. Isn't that something like we read about in Revelation 13? Incredible technology. but used for and in the most destructive way. Hey, shatterthedarkness.net. Shatterthedarkness.net on the web. Title of the program this week, The False Flag of 2012, Doomsday-ism. Tonight, we're dealing with the deception and diversion and the explaining away of what's going on all around us. Now, we know a lot of things are going on. Any of you in the New York and New Jersey and the eastern northern seaboard, you know, from the 1,000-mile wide storm they were calling Frankenstorm that came through. I saw a note on the news today and pictures today. Massive cleanup continues. Individuals still out of homes. People are still displaced, looking for food, looking for work, everything else. Let's remember everybody there. Around the world, we know that what's going on in Israel right now, and Iran is sending more and more. The last number I heard, 20,000 missiles, shoulder-fired and other missiles, bigger and broader and stronger than the ones in the past, to hit Jerusalem. And it's all now pointing to Iran. And then what do we really know, really, about the whole Middle East situation? Who's doing what? What we do know is that that's the central hot point. That's the place where the match is going to strike the lighter, and it's going to burst into flames. We globally feel that coming down. We really do. Let me tell you what's going to happen this week, because I'm going to be a little bit out of here. We're going to be somewhere on planes, trains, and in some kind of French small countryside vehicles. What we're going to try to do is give you reports live from Bugarak Mountain. The upside-down mountain, the alien garage, the magic mountain, the place the Nazis were digging into, and we've read in numerous places that Israel's Mossad was digging into. 20,000 folks there. The French government now declares they're going to shut it down somewhere around the 15th and not let anyone else up there. A couple hundred people live in the area. We're connected. Well, I'm not going to tell you everything this evening. So here's what's going to happen. There may be a few evenings you'll hear a live rebroadcast. That just means somehow we didn't get satellite connection. Somehow we didn't get the upload connection. But we're out there somewhere. We've asked for many of you to pray. This is an answer to prayer, and it is a REAP trip, R-E-E-P. You want to find out what that is? Go to shatterthedarkness.net. Right-hand side, you'll see a pair of boots. That's all about REAP trips. We've made a lot of local ones. We've got those other ones plotted for Victoria, British Columbia, London, Wewelsburg Castle in Germany, many others in the United States this coming 2013. By the way, 2013, Dallas, the future Congress. Again, on our website, you can click and check it. It's going to be big. It's going to be historic. It's going to be, I think, cutting edge. Future Congress number 2 in January 4th through the 6th in Dallas area. Now, we're also going to be gone in places end of January, February. We're going to have a satanic ritual abuse up to date. No one else is doing this right now. It's going to be one in the end of March, somewhere in that area. Into April, Chicago. Listen, this is what it looks like now. Chicago, number 3. Nephilim Mounds later on in May, down in Newark again. And then Knoxville, Tennessee in June. And then Bohemian Grove, the Bohemian Grove Conference. I don't know what Tom Dunn's going to call that, but it all ties into the Bohemian Grove and what we've been praying about for a number of years. By the way, we're asking you to hook up and join up with Project Josiah. And what is going to be tagged into that? 10 million fierce. That'll all be outlined in January. Glad you're here tonight, praying that God bring His grace, blessing, in the name of Jesu Christu. No one loves you more. No one wants you more. Nobody is more faithful than the one that gave His life for you on the cross. Amidst all the hubbub and marketing and sales and Black Friday and what's today? Internet Monday? Cyber Monday. $1,500,000 in the United States, Internet Cyber Monday. Unbelievable. The amount of money. Listen, as believers, keep us in prayer. Keep us quick 30-second commercial. Remember us in support. Remember us in investment. We're going to put a new support page up. You can get to the support page. Support tab is on the website, and we're going to tell you about the monthly, and that's the primary issue, but we're going to lay out some of the big projects for those who want to do something more. We pray just for those who listen all year long. Probably 60 or 70 individuals in various ways have helped out, and you've kept us on the field. You've kept us extremely busy. You've helped us to put out hundreds more MP3s. You've helped others around the world download millions of them. Monthly alone, somewhere around 150,000. And we're, again, just to see the reports, just to hear the responses, it's amazing. So that's the commercial. I don't want to say any more. Just to remember us in prayer and support like that. Thank you so much. Glad to be here. Praying that we can extend satellite stuff into Europe deeper and broader and go other ways and other directions. That's the indication I get from God concerning what we're supposed to be doing. And you keep us in that prayer. We love you. We're praying for you. We're praying over every broadcast, both before and afterwards. And we're seeing some of the great things that Jesus does. Nothing greater than salvation and healing and being set free from dark spirits and presence. We do have a lot of requests. And requests come in, please help me. I'm trying to get to many of you. And we're going to pray about how we can do that better. Folks don't like me to give off my emails to others to have them deal with if you sent me one. But I'm just looking how I can rearrange and see what we can do. But let's get into the broadcast tonight also. This week, false flag 2012 Doomsday-ism tonight. Let me mention 4 things about this. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up is because not only are there, and I was watching today in preparation, documentaries, books, listening to books. Sometimes my eyes get tired, all the internet and all the other books and all the other materials, but I'm listening on a Kindle to another volume on 2012 Doomsday-ism and all the different things. You know, some of these that we got, a year ago, it's kind of interesting to see how true to form they are and how they've shifted. Sometime in the past it was all about collapse and doomsday into the world. Now, guess what's happening? There's a shifting of information. Now the issue is this. No, it's going to be a supranatural evolution of the planet and of the human race. And so somewhere in the midst of this dark doomsdayism, they're trying to bring out something positive. It seems as though 2012 doomsdayers, those authors and those documentary producers and those who are on the field are realizing it's probably not going to be the end of the world. The Mayans have other materials that go for the next 1,000 years they've now found. And so they've got to give some other predictions. It's interesting how false prophecies work, that when it comes close to the date, the ones giving false prophecy get nervous, and then, or when it's the date and it doesn't occur, like the end of the world here, not too long ago, and it didn't happen, and I believe the man eventually had some kind of stroke or heart attack. But many folks gave all their monies and did everything they could and believed, and it didn't happen. Because, you know why? Based on numerology, based on old type of Jehovah's Witness type prophecies, it was false. It was false prophecy. And that's part of the issue this week. The false flag of this false supernatural prophetic unleashing that's been going on. And that's what we want to get into. I want to mention quickly 4 things. With this spiritually conceived, but I mean it's entrenched in global consciousness. I'll give you some factors on that in a moment. But this is the issue. Deception, number 1. Diversion, number 2. Explaining away, rationalizing what's really going on based on this false information. And number 3, all of the diversion, all of the deception, all the explaining away is to hold the human race kind of in a kind of saying, look up here into the sky while we cut your legs off below. It's the kind of Nazi propaganda. Look over to the right while we're really doing stuff over here on the left. It's that picture. And it's that picture that is gripping the world. And when I say the world, Webbot Project. Have you heard of that? Webbot Project. I'm looking at a site called the Mirror of Aphrodite. Interesting. Says this, evolving one page at a time. Now what they've done at this page is bring in the Webbot Project. Quick note on it. It's the idea of technology. Web spiders, that is collectors of information, sent out getting hundreds of millions, they're called spiders, a system of spiders, getting hundreds of millions of pieces of information. What it's really doing, it's like little reporters going around to all the websites and on a global scale, looking and reading and going over all the massive information, like my website. Like websites that deal with conspiracy, the end of days, all the 2012 ones, all of the psychic ones, all of the New Age ones, on and on and on. So what Webbot Project does, sends out the technology of systems of spiders to crawl the internet and search for the keywords like a search engine does in a way. And here's what it says. The Webbot takes a snapshot of the text preceding the following the keyboard. Now, this is what happens. This snapshot of the information is sent to a central location where it is then filtered to define meaning. They talk about Webbot Project creators, the emotional language, the high-impact language. So this is like, again, technology that is like the most advanced reporters getting information from around the world to see what millions and millions and millions and millions are saying, believing, promoting. What is on the mind of the globe? What is the mind of the human race? Not just what does your family as a whole think, what does your church as a whole think, or what does one nation as a whole think, but what does the globe think? What is the globe, what is the thinking embedded in global consciousness? Webbot, a technology, is seeking to read global consciousness, what everybody's believing, by the billions. Here's what it says, I quote, "The Webbot Project concept is aimed at tapping into the collective unconscious," it's a Jungian word, "of the universe and its inhabitants. As well, there is an interesting time concept involved, and a usual concept of a tipping point regarding the past, current, and the future times." Let me stop. Tipping point. Erwin Laszlo, of the founder of the Global Shift University, founder of the Club of Budapest, and original member of the Club of Rome. In his books, materials, and those that are working with him, including Gorbachev, Barbara Marx Hubbard, many others, they're all talking about it. Everybody's talking about it. We're at the tipping point. Well, the Middle East, on a military violent war issue, like the Third World War concept, tipping point, economics, tipping point, the stream of hurricanes, tsunamis, and everything else, tipping point. Where are we in human history? And let me tell you something, we're not lacking when it comes to remote viewers and psychics in the past, Nostradamus, Edgar Cayce. I mean, you can go to some of the older prognosticators and predictors of the future, some of the current. But what took it worldwide, what then imprinted into billions of minds was this issue 2012. I mean, I watched last week a number of shows doing, news media, mainline news media, cable news media, other places doing stories, front page notifications on 2012 Doomsday-ism. They were doing stories on Stonehenge, the pyramids, Chichen Itza, the Upside Down Mountain, believe it or not, and other places around the world. And they're kind of looking at why individuals are, by the millions are believing, by the hundreds of thousands traveling to these sites, reaching destinations to culminate gatherings around the solstice. But why are they there? They're showing pictures of people dancing and jumping, and it's kind of like a global Woodstock, spiritualized with Mayan teaching and, a whole lot more. On the surface of things, it does look like there's a tipping point. It's as if the edge of everything is, just about ready to go off the cliff. You know how the car slides around, half the car's off the cliff, half the car's on the cliff, and it wobbles back and forth. As the driver moves one way, it tips downward. He moves back, it tips back upward. Tipping point. The article on Webbot goes on to say this. In 2001, the Webbot operators began to notice that the stock market predictions were not only a matter of being accurately predicted by the Webbot, and they began to take notice of the coincidence with occurrences and explored it further. One of the first accurate predictions, listen carefully now, one of the first accurate predictions of Webbot took place in June of 2001. At that time, the Webbot predicted that a life-altering event would take place within the next 60 to 90 days. An occurrence of such proportion that its effects would be felt worldwide, is what it said. The program's based its prediction on its filtered web chatter content, which, I guess you could say, ultimately represents the collective unconscious of society. Listen to this phrase, the collective unconscious of society. That's going to play into the hands of Revelation 12. The dragon, that's the picture, who seeks to lead the whole world astray. That's process. There is an evolutionary development. There are events. It's entrenched in environmental causes, economic issues, militaristic things, nations. If we do not take a step back further than all of this and see the man behind the curtain, everybody's eyes, they're going to be on Nostradamus, Edgar Cayce, psychics, 2012-ism, all these places around the world. Everybody's going to look in one direction as plotted by by Hell's Kitchen. Trying to get billions to look in one direction, all the while developing the real program and the real developments that are going on over there. The things that are going to bring the collapse, bring the globalism, bring the destruction, unprecedented destruction that Jesus Christ himself talked about in Matthew 24. If you have not read Matthew 24 and looked at it and looked at a key verse, verse 25, when Jesus says, when you see all of these things, everything that he talked about, when you see this on the field of human history, we are at the biblically given tipping point. One set of futuristic convincing and influencing is coming, And it seems to be gripping the collective unconscious, the global mind, billions, making them look in one direction. Whereas the Spirit of God is saying, no, look over here. Here is what's really going to happen. Look away from the deception and look over here where there is accurate insight to the sequence of the end with a passionate expression of redemption and hope and the coming of Christ. Even creation itself is sentient and knows and hopes. Oh, please study clearly, deeply, Romans chapter 8 concerning creation. What it knows, what it feels, what it hopes. And here's what it says this. In the predictions in 2001, I quote again, an occurrence of such proportion that its effects would be felt worldwide. The conclusion, quote, regrettably, the program's prediction proved accurate and the Twin Towers fell on 9/11/2001. The article goes on to say this is where the web bot starts to become interesting. Please, let me just put a side note here. I do not put my stock in the web bot, other than that it's a reporter of what millions are thinking, what billions are influenced by. That's why it's an important technology in the sense that it's reading what dark spirituality, dark theology has brought influence to the world, and that theology, that inspiration is on the minds of hundreds of millions to the point of billions, to where it's embedded. It's what they call global consciousness. So WebBot is reading what the globe is thinking, but now WebBot is beginning to acknowledge that what it is reading and studying and filtering is based also on where the world, with all of its millions, billions, and its websites and its contents, got their information. Let me read to you this portion. Quote, the WebBot program also predicts a worldwide catastrophe taking place in the year 2012. For those who would study astrology, prophecies, and the like, you may be already familiar with that date. And then this article goes from WebBot, the technology, its accuracy in predictions because of its reading of this mass content of what the world's thinking, feeling, and sensing and writing that's going to happen. It moves to the Mayan calendar. Quote, the Mayans are considered great seers by many. Not me, but by many. The Mayans built a society that focused its studies on time, synchronicity, and consciousness. The Mayan calendar predicts that mankind will end sometime around the year 2012, though that's now been altered. That's now been altered. Let me quote this. A period which also signifies the end of the current era in the Mayan calendar. But before you start hyperventilating, just relax, because this end may represent a symbolic end more than a literal end, a shift in consciousness. Did you catch that? What WebBot's talking about, what this article now says, is that instead of the end of the world, what we may now be seeing is a global shift, a shift in consciousness. Let me ask you something. Have you ever had to influence your kids to want to eat at a certain place? They want to go to McDonald's. You want to go to IHOP. They want to go to Burger King. You want to go to Applebee's. And the truth is, we all do this. We influence each other. Where you want to go? I think they have good steaks over here. And so in a real sense, we bring influence. So influence has been poured out and poured out and poured out and poured out to the point that now, globally, embedded in the influence and in the minds and in the discussions and in the preparations and in the fears of billions. is the concepts of the Mayan stuff that sits on top of the psychics and Edgar Cayce and Nostradamus and the old occultists, Alice Bailey and the rest. Here's what it goes on to say. Instead of the end of the world, a literal end, quote, a shift in consciousness. I'm going to stop there a second. I'm going to tell you right now, probably from December, in the next week or so, on, all through December, you're going to begin to hear all of those who are heads, the ones that have led this global building, 2012, into the world, consciousness stuff, all the Mayan stuff, all the other stuff, now you're going to see them all shifting. Not a literal end, but a shift in consciousness. Who is influencing a billions of people, shifting in a unified sense? Who's doing that? Can I ask you, who in the world, the underworld, is bringing influence that is shaping and shifting global consciousness? I quote now, such as a societal shift into a spiritual age from a scientific one, an evolutionary leap, if you will, by mankind. End of quote. That's what I want you to understand, that false flag counterfeit prophecy is going to move to. Away from the chaos, into a rereading, because false prophecy, though having bits and pieces of accuracy, is overwhelmingly inaccurate. Be it remote viewers, psychics, channelers, etc. The article goes on to say this: many have derived similar predictions from the I Ching. The I Ching, China's book of changes. It was written around 2800 BC. Very old, right? They moved to this is what it says, a gentleman by the name of Terence McKenna. Some of you know that name. Been on coast to coast, many influences, so forth. This Terence McKenna studied, I read some of his, studied the I Ching intensely and began to see a pattern emerging. From that pattern, he produced a timeline graph called the time wave zero theory. Terence's timeline, derived from the I Ching, ended in the year 2012. December 21, 2012 to be exact, the winter solstice. So with everything else going on, but what nobody's telling you is this: the Mayans and their calculations and their prophetic look to the future and all that they were was based on a massive culture of human sacrifice, horrific blood sacrifice, Nephilim architecture, Nephilim presence, and the worship of demon gods and goddesses on the ground and up into the celestial realms. Nobody's emphasizing that. Hutzpah Men is going to be speaking at Chichen Itza at the conference we're going to be at. Speaking about the minds, the wise minds. I'm reading and listening to him, and wondering when the Mayan elder is going to tell the truth about real Mayan history and what the ziggurat, what the temples, what it was all about, what it was based on. The blood-soaked grounds, the blood-soaked temples. And then we come to Terence McKenna. Like many other researchers around the world that are writing books and talking on talk shows and releasing information, someone that took the pharmacon gateway drugs. From that comes the influence of fallen spirits and their counterfeit. Listen, if you want just a term, satanic prophecy is propaganda that points an individual, a nation like Germany, or the world in one direction, purposely so as diversion, while the real stuff's going on behind the scenes over here to the right or left. So when they tell me about Terence McKenna, as with Graham Hancock and Daniel Pinchbeck and the conference of the prophets that have been gathering, but they're not telling you that many of them are taking Ebola or ayahuasca, other pharmacon drugs, so that they can go out and engage the spirits the shamans have been engaging, the entities in the air. The Holy Spirit calls the entities they engage cosmocrators, archon, or exousia, or porneus pneumaticae, or planos. These are definitions given by the Spirit of God concerning fallen angels and the demonic realm in their ability to present a face, engage individuals, to use them as the doorways in bringing and embedding their diversionary by design propaganda, embedding it in billions, and grip global consciousness. How does it begin? Spiritual deception comes out in political ideology, comes out in writings, comes out in prophetic form, comes out in those who are seers and prognosticators like Nostradamus scrying and many others using occult orientation to find out the future, to then be supernaturally guided. An occult orientation, and even as a remote viewer would do it in a sanitized way, the roots are the same. Edgar Cayce got his predictions as he went passive and asleep. As he moved over, the beings and the influence from what he knew, and those who know him knew, the Akashic records, the realm of the spirits, the realm of the entities, the realm of the masters, the realm of the archon, cosmocrator, exousia, and porneus pneumaticae, and planos spirits, species of the dark side. Their global intent is unleashing, and I'm telling you now, again, that the 2012 spiritual unleash that has been going on for a few decades, now coming to culmination, and now listen, if you think you've heard anything about 2012 now, wait till December and those last 20-some days, and specifically around the 21st. Now I'm scheduled, all the stuff's already taken care of, to be at the temple, Chichen Itza temple, on the 21st. They're going to have the crystal skulls. They're going to do what they're going to do. We're going to do what we need to do. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen down there, but they're going to do it in 1,000 other places around the world. A synchronized seeking, opening doors, gateways, and the millions involved in all these places gathering around the world, including Upside Down Mountain, which I should be standing at that mountain by Friday. It's based on the most supra-naturally conceived, devised deception the world ever knew. In that deception, coming out in prophetic form and futuristic form and so forth, has within it the concept of diversion. Grip the world, grip the minds, grip the hearts, make them look a different direction. Create a diversion. That's the concept behind false flag, diversion. The idea of something occurring and it looks like one thing and you're looking at the one thing, but it's not what caused it. It's not what really occurred. It's not really the agenda. If somebody could snap their fingers and you look across the room over there to the right, but really to the left is what they're doing. A police officer chasing down a criminal that just shot a little girl. They're running through the back yards, and it's midnight, and they're looking around, and the guy throws a stick clear on the other side of the trees. The officer looks in that direction, begins to go in that direction, and the killer runs off in the other direction. That was all about diversion. I'm telling you, spiritually, on a global scale, this embedding in global consciousness, not only is it deception, but it's meant to be diversion. Then I see a third thing connected to that. Having billions of people looking in one direction, 2012, evolution of humanity, new consciousness, new day, escaping, and so forth, that's going to be used, number 3, to explain what is really going on. Biblically, we have the raw blood and guts of what is really going to happen. So the wars, rumors of wars, the collapse, the chaos, if you want to call it the Black Awakening, the Red Horse, all that's going to be coming is going to be explained away. The need for the dark side to explain it away and put the causes somewhere else. God is saying this is what the devil's going to do. This is what they're going to do on a global scale. This is what they're going to do on a national scale. They're going to be involved in politics. They're going to be involved in environmental causes. They're going to be involved in the military vision for the world and planetary defense. Fourth point, listen carefully. Fourth point, it's all meant to take the world too far, to go too far. You know, if you get pulled in and sucked in far enough, little by little by little by little by little, I mean, if you have somebody grip the tip of your pinky finger, that's one thing. That's not a big grip. If they grab your entire pinky finger, that's a pretty good hold. If they grab your arm, if all of a sudden they bear hug you. You see, spiritually speaking, that's how the dark side's been operative. Grab the pinky finger, grab the hand, grab the arm, grab the shoulder. Now, bear hug the world. You see, the deception, the diversion, the explaining away, all lends itself to the gripping presence and power of the dark side. I mean, if you go as far as taking a mark of the beast, worshiping the image of the beast, there is no reversal. The deeper and broader the work of the enemy involves inability to get out. Hotel California. So it's vital to understand on a spiritual basis what is occurring and realize that the Spirit of God has, the finger of God has marked out the reality, the blood and the guts, the raw stuff, the reality by the Spirit of God, the Spirit of truth. Now, many of the explanations concerning chaos and fears, and here's what part of the deception, diversion, and explaining away that's leading the world to be too, go into this too far. Number one, it could be a planet, Nibiru. It could be, something from outer space. It could be an asteroid. Something's coming. Something's going to happen. So there's millions that are looking and believing in Nibiru, Stitchin, the Anunnaki, all those kind of issues. Number two, a pole shift. I watched this on television last week as they discussed how there is the possibility of a pole shift that would alter the entire planet and change everything. Number three, Third World War. No doubt that would alter anything and everything. And with what's occurring in the Middle East, does Russia back Iran? Does the United States back Israel? Who backs who? What's it all about? But it's a tipping point. Number four, financial collapse. Greece understands this. Spain understands this. Europe understands this. United States, you feeling it? Number five, have you read about the galactic alignment in the black hole? In the exact same study I was reading concerning Webbot that moves from Webbot to the Mayan prophecies to Terence McKenna and the I Ching, to the Hopi, to many of the other prognosticators and pharmacon takers and spirit guides and channelers and so forth, all talking about the big shift, the big change, the big everything 2012. Here's what it goes on to say in the article, quote, in 2012, it is suggested that the sun and the earth will be in direct alignment with a black hole. Here's what it says, big deal, huh? Yeah, kind of, maybe. You see, scientists speculate that magnetic shifts could take place as a result. In essence, it is theorized that the poles could reverse. You know what it's based on? That there is a dark rift in the center of the Milky Way galaxy. It's now a fact. There's something there. There's something there. A black hole in the middle of the galaxy, and now you've got remote viewers and channelers. You've got individuals going out using every occult means, old and new, to try to tap in, to try to see what that is. Is there something out there coming our direction? What is, and I quote this article, smack dab in the middle of our galaxy? A black hole, end of quote. And so the scientists are speculating that if there is a galactic alignment, somebody asked me that the other day, of planets, would that bring a shift? What will occur? You see what I'm saying? On a global scale, whether it's this thing, black hole in the middle of the Milky Way, a galactic alignment, financial, global, multi-continental collapse, Third World War breaking out in the Middle East, pole shift, or planet bumping into our planet. Keep looking over there to the left. Don't look at the man behind the curtain. Don't look at what's really going on behind the curtain. Keep your head up. Look over to the deception. Look at the diversion. Let the dark side explain it away. Let them give explanation to what they are doing. Let them keep telling you to look over there, look over there, look over there, look over there, look over there. And billions are looking over there until it's too late. Till it's too late. When all the collapse comes down and the super soldiers are out and the diseases are rolling and the wars and the rumors of wars and nations are falling and the United States is collapsing, everybody's going to, the dark side's already got this plotted. It's already down. Global, a mind grip, heart grip, life grip, deception, diversion, explain away until they have you. I mean, the only way out of all of that is right now. The Spirit of God, Christ is coming, Prince of Peace. That's where there is indestructible immortality, life, seeing God face to face. There's the answer to the wickedness in the heart of a human. That's what the cross. Don't you understand? Get off the pharmacon gateway drugs and allowing the spirits to speak to you. Get away from the stinking crystal ball and smash it. Throw it to the side. Drop the prophecies in the books and on the films of individuals guided by dark spirits that masquerade as translucent beings, because it's all about deception, diversion, and explaining away, and it is plotted, it is not random, it is intense, it is what they're up to. So says the Spirit of God. So says the Spirit of God, who has demonstrated infallible accuracy of the predictions of the first coming of Christ and of things right now. I mean, listen, biblical prophetic insight is the cutting edge. Let me give you again 1 Peter 1, verse 10 and 11. If you understand how prophets of old did what they did to see about when Christ would come the first time, that's what we should be doing concerning the end with the remaining 500 plus prophecies that have not yet been fulfilled. Those remaining biblically Holy Spirit of God given prophecies. And all the writers knew that. They knew it wasn't a finite spirit, a spirit guide, and they knew it was God the Holy Spirit guiding in sync with the rest of prophecy and the other writers. What Daniel was led to write, Jesus spoke about, and Paul, guided by the Spirit of God, laid out in 2 Thessalonians 2. What John on the Isle of Patmos was guided by the same hand of God that Daniel was guided by some 600 plus years prior. Here's some of the biblical insight. Number one, a building up a deception. That's the number one thing. All of the we're seeing prophecy being fulfilled as the scriptures depict Satan being at work in a progressive, evolutionary way. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2. Counterfeit signs, wonders, miracles, supernaturalism. 1 Timothy 4:1. Deception and using individuals to write and promote the deception on a global scale to embed in the minds of hundreds of millions that Webbot's little spiders are reading and reporting. Webbot may be reading the result of the global satanic agenda to bring a global shift mentally, which is like blowing smoke, blowing fog in front of your 70-mile-an-hour drive down the expressway. The Spirit of God says that the number one issue, building up a deception on a global scale. Number two, you can even find this in Revelation 12, when this picture, this revelation of saying how huge the entity, we're talking real entity, real energy, real influence on a global scale. The goal, to dominate the thinking of billions in order to get the job done. Now, number two, biblically speaking, the Spirit of God, events that will bring and take down nations and the continents and shift things. And yes, the Bible predicts that the dark side is going to create this and do this. Red horse prophecy, black horse prophecy, pale horse prophecy. So all you got to do is read Revelation 6 and see the extent of what they're really doing, what they're really going to cause. When you study that and Revelation 12 and 13 very, very, very well, you will see what God has shown, what is really going on in the midst of the current spiritual deception, diversion, and explaining away that the dark side is doing and that billions are being drawn into. It's an outrage spiritually, and you and I, who are believers in Christ, we must seek the Lord, His presence, His power, and global evangelism. Let me mention two other things. The building of a deception, the Bible predicts. The events that bring down the world, the Bible predicts. Number three, the supernaturalism that will come with the Antichrist, the false prophet, signs, all of that. You read Revelation 13, and a supernaturalism that will seek to grip and deceive the world that has never been seen in human history is coming. And the fourth thing, the Bible predicts, because of that, because of what they're really doing, the broadest destruction of humanity and the environment to the point of annihilation, except the Savior, the Creator, the Redeemer, the Savior, the Prince of Peace is going to step in and cut those days short. End of the hour, come to Christ, turn to Him, know Him, walk with Him. Russ Dizdar, Shatters Live broadcast, The Ragged Edge on this Monday night. Good night.